Hey everybody, and welcome back to Boat Fool Sailing. So today's kind of a special day, and if I'm being completely honest, I'm a little bit nervous because we're doing our first ever interview with a boat owner whom we don't know. And one of our missions when we started Boat Fools was to interview boat owners, whether they just bought a boat or have owned a boat for years, to find out what it was or is about the boat that they have that made them fall in love. Because if you're a boat fool, you understand that there's sort of a boat affair or a boatmance that happens between a boat owner and his or her boat. And I wanted to find out what this thing is that, or thing is about a particular boat that made them fall in love with it and want to buy it. So one of our newer community members on our Facebook community page, Boat Fools, said he had just purchased a 1982 Ericson 28 plus, and the plus means it's a fractional rig. But what struck me about him in his message to me was that he was 75 years old, or is 75 years old, and I was astounded by that at the tender age of 75, this gentleman had decided to go buy a new boat to him, this 1982 Ericson 28, for he and his wife to sail around the coast of Maine on. And I just think that's really a gas, and I think that's cool. So I'm excited to meet him. I'm nervous. Apparently he's a little camera shy. He spent his career behind a camera, not in front of a camera. So we'll see what we can get. But his name is Kevin White, 75 years old, lives in Hope, Maine, and we're gonna go see the boat that he's been working on. And at the age of 75, he's doing all the commissioning work, and he just bought it back in September, so he has not yet sailed this boat, and he's really fired up to do so, and I'm really fired up to meet him, albeit a little bit nervous. But so let's go check it out. So it was pretty obvious when I found Kevin's house. There are a couple of boats in the yard, not the least of which was this brand new to him 1982 Ericson 28 plus. And I have to say, she looked impressive. So after some quick introductions and a couple of jokes here and there, Kevin invited me up on deck to check her out. So here's some quick sailboat data on this boat. And I have to say, she's a pretty impressive machine. And most importantly, she was much bigger than I thought she was going to be. So come check it out. So, Kevin, tell me what it was about this boat that struck your fancy, because we're all struck by something when we're looking at sailboats, and something about them makes us sort of fall in love with them.
Well, I shouldn't say this, but you know, there's always she that must be obeyed.
She that must be obeyed.
And my wife loved the interior.
Okay.
And I just, you know, I looked at a bunch of boats, and this was by far the best looking boat for the money that I could find.
All right, so we are up today in Hope, Maine on Kevin White's brand new to him 1982 Ericson 28 plus, which is a fractional rig, and this is a slick boat that he just bought back in September at the tender age of 75. So we're gonna love this tour. He's camera shy, so you'll hear him in the background. And
I'm 75, not the boat.
No, yeah, Kevin's 75. The boat is half his age.
Yeah.
And in really good shape. She was a freshwater boat that he found up in Searsport, Maine, that had come down from, where was it?
Lake Winnipesaukee.
Lake Winnipesaukee.
Yeah.
And for a 1982 Ericson, she is in great shape. And so we're going to get a tour down below and check her out and see the modifications that Kevin has made before she is dropping in the water for his first season in about a few weeks.
She liked about it is the spaciousness for 28.
Yeah, 10 and a half foot beam, you said?
Yeah, I mean, it has more of a feel of a 30-foot or a 32.
Yeah, I'd say nice big V-berth, nice and
Yep.
open up here.
Yep.
And nice, really nice light.
I cut in, one of the things, that used to be a complete bulkhead up there. I cut that for access and then changed that around to a chain locker.
Oh, I
so
see.
I can drop the chain down in, because I didn't like having a whole bunch of chain up
Yep.
in the locker on deck. It's always nice to get as much weight down as possible.
Yep. And you've already moved in. I see a bunch of glasses up here and everything. And
Yeah. I'm kind of moving, you know, instead of bringing everything later.
And what a great head too.
Yeah, it's a nice little head.
And it looks like that's been updated at some point. That's not original. Head itself, yeah.
Yeah, that's been updated. In fact, this was brand new. The owner had put this in.
And it looks like it does have a shower. It used to have a shower. Used to have a shower.
Yeah, I took it off.
Yep.
I have a solar shower that I can actually just feed down through there.
Yep. Perfect.
And you know, use it as a shower
Yep.
for that if I want to, or go out on the deck.
I gotta say, I am. You're about my height, 6'1".
Yeah.
This headroom is unbelievable.
It has 6'1" headroom.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
The rails get a little tricky.
Yeah, but it's good to.
You know, like here, I find myself.
Yeah.
So
Ours. Yeah.
I may hang like an orange, little orange cloth or a little orange
Tape,
tag
so,
there.
yeah,
So
so you don't
kind
donk your head.
Yeah, don't smarten up, guy.
And a nice little galley. So you have a cooktop.
Right.
This is exactly what we have on the Morgan.
Yep. I made up a little. I mean, all these little goody woodies, you know, I make up to stick this in here when it's not there.
Clever.
And then I made this. This one didn't come with this.
Yep.
Put this in.
And you've got refrigeration. Did you put that in too?
No, that came with it.
Nice.
For some reason, he disconnected the hot water and the hot water freshwater pump.
Yep.
Why, I am not sure.
And nice deep sink.
Yep.
Near center line too, which is great.
I hope it's somewhat good.
Have you filled your water tanks yet?
No. I cleaned them the other day. That was another thing. I put an access port. The water tank
Made
is
the magazine book holder. That's slick.
right.
Table folds up,
Right.
and then
I made all these goodies like this,
smart.
this and this. You know, I found that you
Can we hire you?
never have quite enough room to stick stuff. In fact, I made these too because there was nothing up here to put gear in.
Yeah, those are very handy,
And,
especially for like a headlamp or something to keep up
right.
there.
Yeah. So it has a lot of space anyhow, but I try to utilize it. You know, I put that there.
And she's got a pressurized water system, right?
She did, but he disconnected.
He disconnected it.
So little stuff like that.
So that's your engine access too, and
Right,
I
part of
suspect your companionway comes out.
Yeah, and actually it lifts out. This whole thing here lifts out. It has a lot of access. That's another thing I loved about it, because it.
Can we open that up? Is that a
Sure.
universal?
Yeah. Yep. 11 horsepower.
Yep. And how many hours on it? Do you know?
I have no idea, but she runs like a top. I
And-
know that.
I reckon it looks like the electronics have been, the wiring and all that sort of stuff has been updated over the years.
Updated probably over the time frame. Yeah. Yeah, we can get. It's a bit of a hassle to get in there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
All right, then let's
you
not.
have to take the cushions and.
Let's
pull
not
up
bother.
pull
But
up the plywood.
you can see that if that were removed, you'd have plenty of access. And it looks like
You really have great access.
you've changed your oil filter.
You even have access, you know, fairly good access to the stuffing box,
Yep.
the batteries, all that stuff. I'm
Very
hoping
nice.
that I'm not going to find some unknown problems like, why did he disconnect
So
the-
you changed the oil and all that.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
did all
yeah,
that, and the
yeah.
fuel filters.
Yep. That's kind of a...
The fuel filters are a pain. We've got dual Raycor, a redundant system, and then for the primary, and then we have a secondary on the engine, and the secondary on the engine.
That one's hard?
That was the hard one, because the Raycors are out underneath the galley sink.
Okay.
So it's easy access, and the secondary on the engine is a much more difficult one to reach.
Oh, that's fine. This has two, too. It has one coming back from the fuel tank itself,
Yep.
and then a secondary
On the engine.
up on the engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you don't know how many hours are on it?
I have no idea.
Yeah. There's
I have no
there's
idea.
not a counter somewhere, huh?
There's no count. Nope. So
This is very nice.
it may have, God knows how many hours it has on it.
Well, you know, I took a marine diesel class down in Rhode Island over the winter, and we took a part of Yanmar down to the block and then reassembled it. Only 3 of us in the class, and it was the most useful thing I've ever done.
Really? Yeah.
And because I haven't traditionally worked on engines. I mean, I've done oil changes on cars and whatnot, but and they said that a well-maintained diesel, you know, you don't have to do your first major overhaul until about 5,000 hours. So if this has 5,000 hours on it, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Because it was on Winnipesaukee. And
Yep.
where
Yep.
the heck are you going to go?
Really?
So I bet you probably have like 2,500 hours on it, and I bet she's in good shape.
And whereas like I said, you can't really camp out on Winnipesaukee, so
Right.
it's going to be a day sailor. So it's going to be, well, the wind's blowing, so let's take out the boat. It's not going to be like,
You're just motoring
it's
off
not
the
like,
dock.
let's go to Kennebunkport
Right.
and we're halfway
gotta
there
get
and the wind
we got to get to MDI. We got to go.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is cool.
Exactly.
Very cool.
I'm hoping, you know, I'm crossing my fingers. Some other little goodies that I did is this, like the storage under here, and I put in these like slide trays so you can,
Yeah.
you know, just double up on your storage.
Yeah. Oh, very clever.
I think
All right.
do the whole thing.
Yeah, look at that. That is
Garbage
cool.
is right there,
Yep.
so you know.
Clever.
Chopping block.
For 1982, they were thinking ahead, and the sole floor is really in nice shape.
Well, I refinished
You did?
it. I did refinish it, and I got to do some more work on it because I used
What did you use?
water-based urethane, and
Yep.
man, I wanted to keep away from the fumes down here, of course.
Yeah.
And I've already smelled enough of those in my lifetime walking around boats.
Yeah, but you're 75, like like your doctor said. I mean, why worry?
Hey.
Well, I got to say, I mean, for a 1982 boat, she's in great shape, and deck feels solid.
Yep. She's got
Very
the
solid.
only thing there was two little things wrong with it. I don't know quite what that is. Right there.
Yep.
It seems solid. It's
superficial crack.
It's raising, you know, and I added this because, like I said, she had no ventilation whatsoever
Yeah.
when you leave her at port. And
You've got a nice painted spar too, which means you're gonna have to paint it at some point.
this is where you're supposed to put everything.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Yeah, so I just put my mooring lines in there.
How much chain roll do you have?
Like 35 feet of chain.
Yeah, we've got to redo ours. It only came with 15 feet.
Uh-huh.
That's just not enough. Yeah, this is lovely. This does not look like she is 1982. It must have been stored indoors.
No.
No?
Back when I bought her, she was outside with no cover on her.
But up in New Hampshire?
New Hampshire, I suspect she was.
I suspect she was.
Yeah. No, I mean, she looks a heck of a lot better than she did when I bought her.
Do you know, these topsides must have been, I mean, the deck must have been painted at some point. That can't be
I don't
original.
know. I'll tell you, I have gone over those with a
Scrub brush?
you know, a drill with a round brush. Nothing's flaked off whatsoever, so I think it may be original.
If that's the case, this is like a time capsule. It's unbelievable. I mean, the only other boat I've ever seen of this vintage is my stepfather's Sabre. I liken it to the Ferrari in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the cleanest thing you've ever seen in your life. And so is this solar hooked up to your house or to your start?
To the house.
To the house, yeah.
Actually, there's one for each battery.
Okay.
So I have two batteries, one for each. One panel for each.
That's pretty slick. It's amazing. What's amazing about this is there's no crazing in your fiberglass.
There's a little bit like in places like along the rail. I noticed when I.
Yeah, but that's
nothing too much.
And it's nice that you do have a nice little tow rail here.
Yep.
Nice little bulwark.
Good place to catch your feet.
Yep. When you're healing.
Another thing I made up, of course, is safety lines and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Because I may be doing some single handling.
Yeah.
For sure.
Kevin, this is a slick ride. I love this boat.
Great.
I love this boat. This is our first boat interview, and this is a great boat to start with. And it looks like
you're the first one other than my buddy Gordon that's even seen it.
Oh, is that right? I've got boat envy. I love this. I won't tell my boat that, but
No.
I don't want her to hear that.
And you know, really, we don't know what's wrong with it. You know.
I'm gonna
Rumsfeld said, you know, what we don't know, or whatever it is.
I'm gonna reckon there's nothing wrong with her, and
it'll become evident. It always does.
Well, yeah, there's always something that's gonna happen, right?
It's a boat.
We did our first, we did the summer solstice race out of Rockland last June, and we were right there in the thick of it, and the top of the head of our head sail ripped out. It was our second sail on the boat after launching it and delivering it to Rockland.
Wow, yeah.
And we're like, oh shit.
Wow.
But these things happen.
Yep.
And I got to say, we can see our reflections in your gel coat, and which has been all gripped as you told me. But you've done a nice polishing job. And but when you found this, I mean, were you looking for Ericsons in particular, or did you have a certain budget that
It was more the budget.
Yeah.
More the budget. I was, looking definitely for fiberglass. I don't like maintenance that much.
Nobody does. You have just enough bright work on this to keep you busy.
Yeah. And I told you I built my first little cat boat, and that was all wood and teak and, varnish and everything. And after I did it, I sort of regretted it.
Yeah.
And then when I went to sell her, I guess I regretted it even more because I had to get it all spiffed up to sell.
Right. Well, she's really beautiful. What do you call this that you when we do things like this, we call it MacGrubbering, where we make things that aren't, typical. It's not standard operating. Did you come up with a name for that? Or did you find that somewhere and emulate it?
I researched it and how do we, keep buoys out of our keel.
Yep.
Or a rudder.
Oh, right, rudder, yeah, and prop.
Yeah.
So for those of us,
somebody said that they had done this in Maine and it worked fairly well for them.
Okay, it's really clever. I mean, for those of you watching who don't sail in Maine, we have an abundance of lobster buoys and traps out on the bay, and so they will come along and foul in your prop or along your rudder. And so Kevin's fashioned this line between the bottom of his skeg rudder to the back trailing edge of his keel, and in hopes that will keep any lines from coming up and snagging in his prop and rudder.
I'll just ride right out by.
Yeah, that's really clever. I'd be interested to know
how it works.
I
will too.
You'll
probably hear me swearing out.
Yeah, well, you'll hear us for sure. Well, she's just a beautiful boat, and we don't have to talk exact numbers, but in what price range was she? Was she 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30? Whatever you're comfortable saying.
She was 11.5.
Exactly 11.5.
11.5.
That is a smoking deal. I gotta say, well played, sir.
Yeah.
Well played. That is.
Didn't have a lot of. It started at 12.5, but I wasn't going to try to haggle with it too much about it.
Honestly, that is. I feel like that is. Obviously, we didn't see her when you bought her. Do you have pictures of her?
No, I wish I had.
Yeah, I wish you did too, because that'd be fun to see the before and after. Because it's clear you put a lot of love into her. Yeah. Well, 11.5 for a 1982 Ericson 28 plus, which means the fractional rig, 28 feet with a 10.5-foot beam. And if you look at the sailboat data on this, you'll see that she's going to be quick. She's like a sail area displacement ratio of it's 18 something. It's
somewhere.
The sail area displacement. It's something like 18.5. She's going to be fast. Yeah. But a lovely boat, and thank you for the tour, Kevin. This is
welcome.
This is gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm sure your wife's gonna like it. The down below looks like it's brand new. So, congratulations. We'll see you out there.
All right.
Okay, so I'm just back from that interview with Kevin. What a cool boat! I didn't know what to expect from this first interview in this series, but I had a gas. He was so great, filled with so many stories. I was there for nearly 2 hours talking about sailing, and what an inspiring guy. So. That's what drew me to this story in the first place. The guy's 75 years old. He just bought this boat last September. This will be his first season on the water with it. And he's planning on taking his wife coastal cruising. He's planning on going solo sailing on that. If that's not inspiring to anybody out there who's thinking about buying a boat, I don't know what is. He's got a lot of vim and vigor left and a lot of gas left in that tank. And he's going to go have a ball at 75. I love it. And a terrific boat. He's done a tremendous amount of work on it. For all intents and purposes, it looks brand new. And he paid 11.5, and what a cool story. So, and I just feel like these little behind the scenes stories with boat owners can prove really useful to anyone who's interested in buying their first boat, upgrading, downsizing, or just curious about owners and their boats, because you learn so much. I learned a ton today, and I think in the subsequent interviews I'm going to do, we're all going to learn a ton more, and you get to find out why somebody bought a particular boat, what it was about that boat that drew them to it. And I think that's cool, and I think it could be really useful. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for dealing with my videography on this one. It's going to get better, I promise. And stay tuned for next week. We have a lot of fun stuff on the horizon.